Chapter 22. Someone splashed beer on the back of Imogen's neck. Cold foam ran down her spine, and suddenly she'd had enough. Enough trolling round the city in the rain, enough waiting while grown-ups did stupid grown-up things. She wasn't here for the music. She wasn't here to have a good time. She was here because Mira had promised that Blazin' Bilbits would help her get home. She walked up to Miro and gave him a jab in the ribs. "Aren't you supposed to be asking that man to help us?" Yes, said Miro after the next song. But as one song ended and another began, Miro just clapped along. Imogen decided to take matters into her own hands. She reached up to the table and prodded the giant man's leg. He didn't react. She grabbed his calf and gave it a shake. He looked down and flicked his foot, as though he'd stepped in something nasty, sending her tripping backwards. Things were going to have to step up a notch. There was a knife on the side of the bar. It didn't look razor sharp, but it would probably do the job. Imogen forced her way through the crowd, grabbed the knife, and ran back to the hunter. She climbed onto the table, reached up to the instrument sack, and pierced the skin. It deflated at speed, making a terrible wheezing sound. Beers trickled out of the hole. The people closest covered their ears and howled. Blazin' Bilbit stopped blowing into the mouthpiece and looked down a pipe. "That's funny," he boomed. "It's never done that before." Then he saw Imogen crouched by his feet. "What do you think you're doing?" I wanted to get your attention," said Imogen, suddenly feeling very small. "Well, you've got it all right. I'll skin you alive, you little hovinko." Enormous hand lifted Imogen up by her arms. She wriggled and kicked, but the giant's grip only tightened. "Put me down!" she shouted. "What do you think?" said the man, giving her a shake that made her rib cage rattle. "Shall we have her stuffed and mounted on the wall?" The crowd laughed. "Do you know who I am, peasant? Do you know whose Zebny Krava you vandalized?" His eyes, wide and bloodshot, didn't look to Imogen for the answer, but to his fans below. "I am the man that killed 100 bears, seduced the queen of Makuluka, rode across the nameless mountains wearing nothing but a squirrel skin. Yes, it's all true." He paused for a dramatic effect. "It was I who slayed Zelo the wolf with my bare hands. I who single-handedly protected the Pakivasi Cathedral and its nuns from the excesses of 500 marauding Yazdids. Why, I've even delivered a baby behind that barn. I cut the cord with my teeth and wrapped the child in a hanky." "Get on with it," a heckler. "I am Blazin' Bilbit," said the giant as he drew himself up to his full height. "Who are you to come here and interrupt my merrymaking?" He breathed beer into Imogen's face, but didn't wait for her to answer. "Whoever you are going to have to pay for what you've broken." "Then you owe me for all the tankards you've thrown," the barmaid. Blazin rolled his eyes. "Cough up, girlie," he said to Imogen. "My Zebny Krava is worth a fair bit." Imogen felt like all the air was being squeezed out of her. "I haven't got any money," she gasped. That's a shame, isn't it? Cried the giant. Perhaps you think someone else should pay for your mistakes. I'll pay. Merrill this time. Who said it? Bladen looked around. Down here. I'll give you your money, but first put her down. Oh, look! A knight in shining armor! Bladen chuckled. Me? I thought you were supposed to be the hero, said Merrill. That's what everyone says. Bladen the brave, Bladen the beast killer. But look at you. You're nothing but a big bully. The room fell silent. You can't pay, said Bladen, sounding a little less sure of himself. You haven't got 20 crowns. You haven't even got 2 crowns. But the crowd had turned. That's enough, Bladen, someone yelled from the back of the room. You've had your fun, said the other. Faces turned back to the bar, and the normal hum of talk resumed. All right, said Bladen to Merrill. 25 crowns, and you've got yourself a deal. Done, said Merrill. Bladen released Imogen, tossed his punctured Dabney cravat aside, and climbed down from the table. He turned to Merrill with greedy eyes. Right. Hand it over. I've got another idea, said Merrill. How do you fancy earning 100 crowns? You haven't got that kind of money, said the hunter, suspicious. Merrill placed a small bag on the table. Bladen seemed to recognize the sound. A soft tinkle of gold on gold. You have my attention, he said slowly. Imogen sat at the edge of the table, rubbing her sore arms. We want you to take us into the forest, she said. Is that so? Bladen's eyes were still fixed on the bag. We're looking for a door in a tree. A door to where? Said the giant. Imogen took a deep breath. The door to another world. There's no such thing, said Bladen. 100 crowns says you're wrong, said Merrill, pushing the bag across the table. Bladen's head stayed still, but his eyes followed the money. That's a lot of ground to cover, searching for something that doesn't exist. I need my man with me. 100 crowns now, and 100 crowns when it's done, said the prince. Bladen held out his shovel-sized hand. Merrill shook it. We'll start at first light, said the hunter, after the bells have tolled. What are we supposed to do until then? Said Merrill. Bladen grinned, displaying yellow gold and missing teeth. Why, drink, of course. And he did. He drank beer, he drank liquor, he drank some cloudy green stuff that smelled like aniseed sweets. He drank with the card players, the barmaid, the inn's cat. He drank until every service was strewn with bodies, like the scene after a battle. And then, realizing he was the last warrior standing, he allowed himself to sink to the ground, cradling a half-empty bottle of grog. He closed his eyes. How do we wake him? Said Merrill. I don't know. Give him a pinch, said Imogen. The prince did as instructed. Well, that didn't work. Harder, said Imogen. You do it, said Merrill. Water! Fetch some water. That's how they do it in films. In what? Just try it, said Imogen. Splash! For a few seconds, Blazon fought wildly, thrashing about on the floor, waving his legs and arms like an upturned beetle. I'm drowning, he cried. He smashed his grog bottle and held up the sharp end. What do you want, you little hovinko? It wasn't really a question. Imogen looked down at the giant. We want you to do as you promised. Blazon belched. We want you to take us to the Cosenine forests. Fine, said the hunter. But first, I need my morning beer. Imogen had a bad feeling about this.